Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm very glad to be here, and I very appreciate the chairman and organizing committee to give me this opportunity to report our research and development of green pesticides in China. Okay, so here is my personal. Here's my personal resume. My personal research directions are pesticides, chemistry, and biochemistry. So here today, I will present my report in 5 parts. About 18 years ago, we organized the Xuhong Scientific Conference on the green pesticides in Beijing in September 2002. Many scientists attended this conference, including Professor Fujita, Dr. Kaobing, Dr. Adam Xu, and Professor Zheming Li and Professor Yingchu Shen. All of us were inspired by the green chemistry concept and agreed to use the green pesticides to emphasize the importance of modern pesticides to public and officials. From then, our Chinese scientists to learn and start the innovation of pesticides. The word green is very popular, is often used in the chemistry and engineering area. They containing 2 similar 12 principles. Inspired by this concept, we propose the term the green pesticides as a counterpart to green chemistry and green engineering. The green pesticides means high bioactivity, good selectivity, low risk and low residue, clean producing. The history of the pesticides experienced at least 3 stages. The first is like the high toxicity, low effects. The second is high toxicity, high effects. The third one is low toxicity, high effects. So in the future, we need the more greener the pesticides, that is low risk to the beneficial organism, ecosystem, and our environment. Some famous pesticides already won the American Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Award, such as spinosad, diaryl hydrazine. Nowadays, China is more urgent than before to encourage the research and development and the manufacture of the green pesticides. The March of this year, a major explosion occurred at the chemical plant zone, Qian, China. The government launched the widespread safety probe, which will cause the short supply and the rising price of the pesticide. Pesticide in China developed rapidly during the past decades. Now China is the largest producer and exporter country of pesticides in the world. It has about 2,000 companies to produce the pesticides, but the number of the small companies will be dramatically decreased very soon due to the safety, health, and environment issue. Now, China is also become one of the countries with innovation capability for pesticide. We now have about 20 research institutions around China in this area. Now, several significant national projects on green pesticides were implemented. 2 early projects led by me to promote research and development on the green pesticides made progress from the lead to target-oriented pesticides. The later projects led by the Professor Zhong Li and Boan Song focused on the development and application of the green pesticides, mainly focused on the molecule target and the development and application of pesticides. Owing to successful implementation of these big projects, China has established a whole system for pesticide research and development. Up to now, around 1,600 SCI papers were published, 500 patents were filed, many molecules as new and green pesticides were registered. The project totally covered about more than 50 persons. Here, I only present some results from them. I couldn't to report all the results due to the limitation of the lecture time. This result we already had only means a first step of innovation. We still have a long way to go. This is it's the recent picture for the main researcher involved in these projects. Okay, going to the second part about the basic research on pesticides. I will talk about the 4 points, including computer science for pesticides, target exploration, natural products, and structural innovation. First, here is an overview of the distribution of the basic research around China. The East and the Central China is the most active area for pesticide research. Here shows a famous professor engaged in the computer-aided pesticide research. I would like to show you some of the examples in this area. Professor Guangfu Yang from the Central China Normal University engaged in the computation chemical biology for pesticides discovery and established several databases. Their methodology can speed up the target identification, lead generation, lead optimization, and candidate searching. They established a web server, ACFIS, for fragment-based drug discovery. It can be used freely worldwide. Up to now, more than 4,500 computations were performed by users from the 67 countries. They established the platform for rational design of pesticides and realized the leap from the basic research to product innovation. With using this methodology, 3 new herbicides and 3 new fungicides were developed by this group. Here shows the famous professor who engaged in pesticide target exploration. The Professor Qin Yang from the Dalian University of Technology did the research on chitin metabolism enzyme. Chitin is a major structural component of the insects, fungi, mites, nematodes, but is absent in the human, mammals, and plants. So chitin metabolism enzymes are potential green targets for developing eco-friendly agrochemicals. Based on the proteomics and the molecular biology, she discovered the chitin metabolism enzyme of Lepidoptera, the insects, including chitin hydrolysis, chitin modifier enzymes, chitin oligosaccharides, truncating enzyme. She analyzes the protein crystal structure of the old enzyme for the study of the potential target. Based on the crystal structure of this enzyme, collaborated with the other professors, several series of the novel inhibitors towards this enzyme were discovered, providing novel lead for the design of future insecticide and fungicide. Here shows us one famous professor who engaged in searching for the natural products-based, pesticides. For example, based on the natural products for the fungicide were developed in China many years ago. And also Professor Wenjun Wu from the Northwestern A&F University, he discovered the insect products Celegerin V from the insect plant. which acts on the lower target VATP enzyme, and then he designed and developed another the compound in similar mode of action to that natural products, which is highly active to lepidoptera insects. Professor Qiming Wang from the Nankai University did the research on the marine natural products and found a series of active compounds such as polycarpine and others. For example, gramines, allelagars, and piperine alkalides were found to have a good antiviral activities, which makes certain the virus inhibition by binding to the chromophore proteins and interfered with the virus assembly. Based on the maturing, the registered pesticide in China, the Professor Hui Xu from the Northwestern ANF University make structure modification and found that the nectar ring of the matrine was vital for action on voltage-gated sodium channel, and one compound with excellent acricidal activity towards termite. Here shows some famous professor who engaged in the drug structural innovation for potential pesticides. Professor Changling Liu from the Shenyang Institute suggests an efficient approach called intermediate derivatization to discover lower green pesticide candidate based on the market orientation and the retrosynthetic analysis. Using this methodology, they discover several commercial pesticides. And the third part is about the pesticide registered in China. Here shows a map of the commercial pesticide developed by the Chinese scientists. The products including 20 insecticides, 22 fungicide, 9 herbicide, and 4 other type of the pesticides. Here I will show you structure of the insecticides that developed in China. Here is a structure of the fungicide developed in China. Here is a structure of the herbicide and other the pesticides developed in China. Okay, I'll give the example, the doflin. The doflin developed by the Professor Boan Song from the Guizhou University, which is the first new active ingredient against southern rice black stranded tofu virus. It acts on the high pin binding protein, then activates the downstream, the pathogen-related protein to exert the antiviral effect. It provides the seedling nursery field the whole period immune the activation protection. It shows excellent control and prevention effects on this virus. The doflin provides a new and whole period immune activation protection technology against this virus. It was applied widely, nationwide in China, and the pesticides usage was decreased by 30%, and the controlling effect were more than 80%. The herbicide monosulfone discovered by the Professor Zhiming Li from the Nankai University, usually the most of the herbicide are phototoxic to millet seedlings. His Symphonia Euro, only with one substitution for millet crops, were very active. At 30 grams per hectares dosage, the weeds were cleared, but millet seedlings safely remained. Here shows some herbicide and fungicide from the Professor Guangfu Yang's group. It's worth to mention here that quinotrione is active, selective herbicide for sorghum, a kind of Chinese special crops. Boridine is a natural pesticide developed by the Professor Wensheng Xiang at the Northeastern Agricultural University. It has good control effect on soybean blight. Its target is Synonia RNA synthetic enzyme, a new target that never was used before. Cycloprenone is a novel herbicide as HPPT inhibitor developed by the Qian Agro company. It has good efficacy towards a precursor Achilles resorber that has resistance to conventional herbicide. Field trials showed that good the control efficacy in several provinces. The moxystrobin is a fungicide developed by the Professor Tony Liu from the Shenyang Institute. It has excellent control effect on apple visa cankers and rice sheath blight. The first part, I will give a quick introduction on our group's work about cis nicotinoids. Based on the configuration, the study of the nitro pharmacophore of the neonicotinoids, we knew that almost all the commercial neonicotinoids are in trans configuration. Therefore, we fix the nitro groups in cis configuration to find the new nicotinoids or new mode of action. We published around 80 papers and filed 55 patents, also international patents. Finally, we discovered the two commercial compounds, pyridine and the cyclopride. The cyclopride was registered in China last year. Based on the cyclopride, we established cooperation with the FMC and the Shanghai Shenzhen company. Field trial indicated that it has no influence on bees. Cyclopride shows excellent control effect on rice plant supple and aphids. In comparison with traditional neonicotinoids, cyclopride has antagonistic effect on insect receptor. There exists a transition area from agonist to antagonist. This phenomenon is firstly observed and discovered, which may serve as a potential target for insects development. As bean toxicity is the most concerning issue for safe application of the neonicotinoids, we evaluated the influence of the cyclopride on bees in the field. The result indicated that it has no influence on bee flying, colony, and development. Concerning centering on the cyclopride, we established the whole research and development chains, from the synthesis to final marketing and application in the field. The development cost for this compound is about 60 million renminbi, and it takes around 10 years with 20 institution involvement. Now I'm talking about the future. It's the fifth part. China is stricken by the insect pests, weeds, and plant pathogenic fungi every year. We hope to establish the innovation capability of the pesticide to meet the specific lead requirement from the Chinese farmers. In the future, we were focused on the crop protection for the special and the traditional Chinese crops such as green bee, buckwheat, and Hainan barley. China has various plants, microorganisms, and marine creatures, and some of them are solely found in China. There's a huge library for natural products. In the future, we will continue this direction. Also, we need cooperation with the friends from the institutions and companies around the world, not only around China, to discover green pesticide for mankind ecosystem. Taking the cyclopride as the example, we have established a broad and comprehensive cooperation with the research from the university, companies all over the world. Also, my groups also have another dream, is how to make the industry application of the pesticide. For example, we want to design and synthesize some of the elicitor, allergens, for large-scale the plant cell culture. We hope this, the effort could give the new and the lower direction. We name it as chemical biotechnology and bioengineering. Okay, at last, I would like to thank the research grant and financial support from the Chinese government and the industry. Okay, here I just give the very brief introduction and describe some of the works we already done. So thank you for your attention, and I hope in the future we could cooperate with you together for mankind. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Xuhong. That was impressive, 20 years there. Take us back to 20 years ago, and a farmer in, let's bring the lights up so we can see you, so you can put your hands up and have some questions. All right, very good. 20 years ago, so farmers in China, what were they doing regarding pesticides? What did they have access to?
Okay, about 20 years ago, when you open the newspaper and listen to the radio, almost a couple of days, just you will hear the one, maybe the terrible story. Some person suicide, and some person got, was touched the toxic, pesticide, and they was injured like that. So at that time, we think about, can we doing something for the public, for the society? So almost the 80 to 90% of the pesticide were used by the public, by the farmers, belong to the high toxic. For example, organophosphorus, carbamate, like that. So now 20 years later, most of the pesticides were used in China is more than maybe 90%. They belong to the, we think about is a low risk and a low toxicity. Yeah.
So the reason why the pesticides were so toxic was because you were importing them. These were not Chinese-made pesticides. At that time, 20 years ago, this compound was discovered by the others, not our Chinese people. But all this pesticide is overdue, is outdated of the pesticides. Is out of the date of the patent. So we could make it to manufacture by ourselves. But this compound and the pesticide is very cheap, is easy to use, and just is a side. So the people like it. But at that time, we didn't care, and the public society didn't care about the environment and the ecosystem like that. But then, when China become more better and more rich, and then people very care about the toxicity, the green, like that. A couple of phrases that I know you love to use: green pesticides, green chemistry, green technology. You're all green all the time.
Yeah, the people like green. Yeah, you see the seed here also is in the green, I think.
Let me see where the questions are. This is a fascinating story of, in 20 years, you went from importing toxic pesticides to actually innovating green pesticides. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, so when you were talking at the very end of your talk, you were talking about reaching out and maybe doing some collaboration as well.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about in terms of collaboration?
It's, the pesticide, crop protection chemistry is a very comprehensive science, including, for example, the computer aid, the design, also chemistry, also, for example, animal science, the plant science, like that, too many disciplines. So for research, for the engineer, we only know one or two fields. So we could not know everything. So we need the other person to give us some help. For example, 20 years ago, we didn't know pesticide very well. So we got the help, got the aid from the Japanese friends. For example, like the Professor Fujita. And we also got the help
in the academic, the help from the, for example, the Berkeley, the Casida, and also we got help from my friends like the Coping, the Peters from Syngenta, like that. They give us some suggestion, advice. We do research and development by ourselves. But we need friends. We need the professor, the discussion. So gradually, now we formed the society, Chinese Pesticide Science Society. Now we could move our industry forward. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. And my question is, how are you attracting good young scientists to this area of research? And are there many young scientists that are really interested in this area in China?
Very interesting, the questions, yeah. We met the same problems. So now we have some, for example, the agricultural university, they have the special, area is crop protection. For me, my former university is the science and technology university. So we didn't have such a direction. We just, put such the research, we have the research in the medicinal chemistry. So we just tell our students, we want to find some compounds with biological activity. Maybe it becomes a medicinal, becomes a drugs for a person. Maybe we find it's a pesticide for animal, for the plant protection. So we call this area is, organic, bioorganic chemistry. So the pesticide is just one of the direction. So we need a student to know this, have some basic skills. So when they graduated from university, they could find a job in different, institution. Some is a academy, some is a company, maybe it's a drug company, some is a pesticides or crop protection. So for job, the area is very, very wide. So we made a problem. So we know the pesticide, the reputation is not so good, is not acceptable by the society, but we need a pesticide. So we want to make some flexible, change for meet the needs of the students and the society. The green, why we use the green to connect with pesticide is also want to open the way and give some chance to our scientists.
Peter.
Good morning. I was really impressed with your talk. But I want to come back on the green, the definition of green. Do you think it will be accepted in Europe? Is China planning to export products, new products, to Europe? And do you believe that we will agree with your interpretation of green pesticides?
So I think is a green is mean that, so from the beginning we think about what is the green? Green is the design should be green and the products should be green. The producing, the technology should be green.
Xuhong, yeah. You're using the word green, but you're not explaining how you understand green.
The green means, the eco-friendly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's eco-friendly. But now, so for example, in our country, we have a very vast manufacture of the pesticides, but some the manufacture technology is not green. For example, the safety problems and overusing of the solvent like that. So we still need improve our industry level and the quality. Yeah. So when we solve this problem, so the product, we set out, to the Europe, should accept by the more people. Yeah. I don't know if it's okay, my answer.
I had another question.
Okay.
Sometimes China is blamed of putting cheap pesticides on the market in Africa. And then they say the generics, the formulations are not working that well. So as a Chinese captain, can you discuss that a little bit? Do you agree or don't you?
Oh, I think, such a phenomena, okay, maybe, I agree your idea. We have so many, almost 2,000 pesticides producing company. In the world, we only have, there is only about the 10, the famous the company, which produced the pesticides. But in China, we have 2,000. Okay, 80% focus on the formulation, about the 20% on the synthesis. So now the government has a policy. I'm the one of the draft for this, the policy. So we will cut most of the company. The reasons due to the low quality and very low the responsibility for the society.
Xuhong, can I just ask you, I'm just wondering, one of the robust conversations that we've had this week is about regulation and regulating pesticides.
Yeah.
Do you have that conversation in China? Is that even possible to have that conversation?
You mean the public to the government?
No, the government with the chemical companies.
Oh, we have many discussions. So the
Who
company,
wins that discussion in
we-
that China context?
yeah, we have a special association for the pesticide industry. They are the representative of this company. They discuss with the Ministry of the Agriculture, with National Council. They always complaining that the policy is too strict. Yeah, they want to more open, more freedom. But the government always says that we give the last chance. I give you a last chance, and then they got many problems. So maybe you will see that maybe just 1 or 2 years later, maybe only 200 companies were alive. But in future, maybe just 20 or 10. So now is on the way. Yeah, you will see the result. Yeah.
The other conversation that's happened this week is about organic. How possible is it for the spread of organic in terms of farming in China?
Yeah.
I realize we're talking about a huge area,
Yeah.
percentage that's organic, percentage that is farmed in a more traditional, regular way.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you one story that some days ago, I met a friend of mine. He only eat organic, food, organic vegetables. The reason he's officials, government officials, in charge of the organic food in China. But now his health got a problem. He's very sensitive to anything, to animal, to plant. And he checked with me what's happened. I said, you got a problem with organic food. The reason is, the organic food, when you want to have a good taste with the organic food, want to have some nutrition and like that is no problem. But when you touch everything, water and food, vegetable is organic. In the natural products, the most of the toxic compounds is natural products, even much toxic than the synthetic one. So, we have so many viruses, fungi, insects in the nature. They have metabolized, such a metabolism may be very toxic. Maybe, or some is tumor, like tumor agent. So when people keep eating, have such organic, the person will become the inorganic.
Something struck me as we've been chatting this week, and it was the importance of what your scientists, your chemists are doing, because 50 years ago, so many people in China, would you pick up on that? 50 years ago,
Yeah.
people were...
50 years ago, we are very hungry. For me, when I was young, 1 month, 1 egg. We put a egg in the bag, hand on the leg, and see it, and very happy, and then keep it. So I didn't eat it. The reason is when I eat it, nothing left. Yeah. So then, 40 years ago, we have the open and reformed policy. So we give more freedom to the people. So people now, think something different. So 20 years ago, we found that the pesticides, we got many pesticides from outside of the China, but we find some pesticides not meet the requirement of China. The reason, for example, millet is grew in the very dry area in lots of China, but no any herbicide could be used for this field. The reason is that millet, just like the wheat, very similar. So then our people think about we need, learn something from the outside, learn from the Europe, learn something from Japan, from the America. So then we know how to make the innovation. So we very appreciate the assistance from the international society. Also, we want to, in future, we make the contribution to the international society. Okay.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. What a fascinating 20-year story of going from toxic to green. Thank you for that. Now, I don't know in China what the biosciences faculty does, but here at Ghent, we make chocolate for our favorite speakers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Okay,
Xuhong
thank you.
Chen.
Okay.
Thank you.